Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm bringing back an old series back to my channel, and it is the battle series. So it's where I take 2 or 3 different products and battle them against each other. I did pancakes in the past. I believe I did some sort of brownies. So I will link those videos down below, so check those videos out. In this video, we are going to be doing some yellow cake mix. So recently I was at Walmart, discovered that they have some new keto-friendly, low-carb yellow cake mixes on the shelves. Now, I do believe that these kind of things should be eaten in moderation when you're on keto. If you do eat a lot of treats, you may notice that you may have stalls. Some people can do it. I cannot. I have to be very careful about how many treats that I indulge in, but I feel like these are great products to have for when, say, there's a birthday going on. Like this past weekend was my husband's birthday, made him a birthday cake. At this time, I was not actually even tempted at all, but if I had been, it would have been nice to have something like this. I could have whipped one of these up and had my own little birthday cake along with everybody else. So I feel like this is such a good alternative to have, especially for like kids' birthdays where you may be more tempted to, you know, have a cupcake or something like that. So let me show you what I found and what we will be battling. So we have the Duncan Hines keto-friendly cake mix, yellow cake mix. This is a classic yellow. And then we have the Birch Benders yellow cake mix. Now Birch Benders had chocolate, white, and yellow, but I only saw in the Duncan Hines, I only saw the brownies and the yellow. Sneak peek, the brownie battle will be coming next against these 2 brands because they both have brownies out, so that will be in the next battle video. So both of these have a very similar ingredients. I'm going to give a close-up here of the ingredients. Again, the keto could be very subjective, calling it keto depending on the ingredients and what you believe is keto friendly, but it's up to each person. But like I said, I do believe these things should be really eaten in moderation. A lot of these I feel like really are marketing gimmicks, especially when you come to the price. This was $4.98. A regular yellow cake mix from Duncan Hines was $1.67. Birch Benders, this was $6.98. So this is 8 servings, although the packages are virtually identical. This is 10.9 ounces. This is, 10.6 ounces. This was 10.9 ounces. This says it's 10 servings. This says 8. I think that's where the difference in the carbs come from. This says 4. This says 5. This has more servings, so it is going to be less carbs. So I think they are about the same size, but this was $6.98, $4.98. Very expensive, all because of the keto name. And this is how I'm going to prove that to you, because I'm also going to make a homemade yellow cake mix that comes from basically the same ingredients. I mean, we have almond flour. Now this one, the Duncan Hines, has almond flour, coconut flour, allulose. It has some few other things. Again, I'll do a close-up of that so you can stop the video and look at it. As far as Birch Benders, we have almond flour, erythritol. This also has erythritol in it as the first ingredient. Coconut flour, cassava starch. I don't know much about cassava, and then stevia. So the cake mix that I am making has almond flour. It has the, I'm using the pure sweetener, we have eggs, we have all of that stuff. I'll tell you everything that goes into it when I show you the batter on that. As far as how you mix these up, the Duncan Hines, you need 1/2 cup of water, 3 eggs, 3 tablespoons of coconut oil. For the Birch Benders, we have 3 large eggs, 1/3 cup of oil, and 1/2 cup of water. I'll be using coconut oil in both of these. It doesn't specify kind of oil in this, but I'll be using coconut oil just so we have the same kind of texture going on. So we're going to cook these up. We'll battle them out. I was going to make frosting too, because look what I found. Birch Benders also has frosting. I did not see any Duncan Hines frosting. That does not mean they do not have it. It's just my store did not have any. So I'm not sure. Let me know if the Duncan Hines also has frosting, but you can make your own frosting, but I was not going to make it because what am I going to do with it? So I didn't want to waste, some expensive sugar sweetener to make some frosting, but we are going to try this frosting just so we can see how it tastes. We have the chocolate, which is 0 net carbs, and we have the vanilla, which is 1 net carb. I will do a close-up of these two so you can see the ingredients in these. Again, these are something that should be definitely eaten in moderation. I feel like anything that the first ingredient is erythritol like it is on like the Duncan Hines thing, that means there's gonna be a lot of sugar alcohols, and you're really not getting the good fiber that you really need to get to subtract from to make those net carbs. But again, that's all subjective. This is about battling it out to tell you which one is tastes best for when you do want to pick up one of these things, and you know, for some special occasion or something. So let me do a close-up of these, and you can see these, and then we're gonna mix these up and battle them out. We have everything mixed up. Let me tell you what went into the homemade yellow cake mix, and I will have the original recipe linked down below. 2 cups of almond flour, 1 cup of sweetener. You can use either powdered or granular. I used a combination of both because I had about 3/4 of a cup of powdered. I didn't feel like making any more, so I just made a cup. 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, 8 tablespoons of melted butter, so that's a whole stick of butter melted, 4 eggs, and 1 tablespoon of vanilla. This is supposed to make 1 pan as well. I have 2 9-inch pans and an 8-inch pan, so we'll see how this works. As far as these, the mixes looked virtually identical. What's interesting is these also have almond flour as their base. This also has cassava flour in it. I don't know much about cassava flour, but this looked more like almond flour than these two did. It was very interesting, but these mixes looked virtually identical. So we'll see. I have a feeling they're going to taste pretty much the same. This did not have the same grittiness and feel that the pancake mix did. I did not enjoy the, as I said earlier, I did not enjoy the Birch Benders pancake mix at all because of the grittiness that it had, but this did not have that same feel to it. So I have high hopes for this. So we're going to go ahead and put these into the pans, bake them up, and then in the meantime, we'll go ahead and try those 2 frostings. We're going to go ahead and try the frosting while the cakes are cooking. We're going to try the frosting on its own and then try them on the cakes. I don't know what size normally a container of frosting is. This is 10 ounces. This feels super light. These were also $6.98, by the way. Very expensive. Very expensive. I'm pretty sure. Let me just double check because I feel like yes, $6.98. Wow. Okay, let's try the chocolate first. First thing I noticed, it is super light and airy. Almost tastes like whipped topping. It doesn't have that denseness of frosting, but it's very good. Very, very good. That's the chocolate. I'm more of a vanilla frosting person. It kind of tastes like, it's like the texture almost of like marshmallow fluff and Cool Whip. It's really not a texture of frosting to me. It's really super light, but it tastes good, but this does not have, like what I love about vanilla frosting is that really strong vanilla flavor. This does not have a very strong vanilla flavor, but it doesn't taste bad. I mean, $6.98, no, I would not buy this. I would definitely make it. But this chocolate one is pretty good. I think out of the two, I'd have to say chocolate, which is definitely would not be my normal pick for something like this. It would always be vanilla. But just the vanilla just does not have enough vanilla flavor for me. But we'll see how it is on the cakes. And I think I'll also try these on the brownies too when I make the brownies in the next video. Cakes are done, they're cooled, I cut them. The homemade cake. This was 16 servings. I thought I cut it into 16, but I actually cut it into 12, which means it would be a super tiny serving. Let me show you. So this is it cut into 12. So if it was cut again, that would be like probably almost half this size. That's crazy. Also, first impression of it, that's why I wanted to cut these so you could see. This one is very dense, a very dense cake. This one and these two right here took 4 minutes longer than the Duncan Hines one. So this one baked for 29 minutes, which I think the directions said 24 to 28. So it really is going to depend on your oven. So that part, you know, is not really important, but definitely looks like a yellow cake. It's just very dense. I can tell you that just from taking it out. So that's this piece right here. These ones are kind of crumbly only because I probably should have not put this liner in the bottom. It's very hard to get out, but this one is super crumbly on top, you can see, but again, still looks like a yellow cake. Birch Benders, this one is so light and fluffy, you guys. Look at this. I hope it tastes good. So light and fluffy. Of course, you gotta remember this one has the $7 price tag on it though too. And this was the 8 servings. Duncan Hines is a little bit of a flatter cake, a little bit denser than the Birch Benders, but not as dense. So this is as the homemade. So this is the, as you can see, so this is from me cutting it. As you can tell, like this is very put together. This one's very put together. This one is just super crumbly. The homemade one is. So here is the Duncan Hines. Again, it's a little bit of a flatter cake than any of them. So it's definitely not as tall and, you know, fluffy. It is fluffier though than this one, but just not as tall. But it definitely has, it's not as dense like at all. This one also had a really crispy crust on top. These two have a nice kind of soft, like cake-like crust. So you can see here, definitely a flatter cake, but still definitely fluffier than the homemade. Okay, so I have my pieces here. I'm gonna try them first without anything, then we'll try it with the frosting. I'm gonna have my family try these two so I can give you a tally at the very end, but they're all at work right now. So when they get home from work, I'm gonna have them try all these and give me their, you know, 1, 2, and 3 with which ones they like the best. So that way I'll give you a tally at the very end of the video. So let's go ahead and go with the homemade one first. Very erythritol forward, which doesn't surprise me. Has had a cup of erythritol. Although pure is my favorite sweetener, it doesn't, to me, doesn't have that cooling effect, but some people are very sensitive to that. My son, my husband are very sensitive to that cooling, artificial, like, you know, sweetener-like effect, even with the pure. But to me, the cake tastes good. It's not as dense as I thought it was when you take a bite. Definitely not. Okay, Birch Benders. Definitely not as sweet, which I like because, again, that other one had a very strong erythritol taste, which some people would like, but some people do not. Was the Birch Benders the one with the allulose? No, it just has erythritol and stevia and monk fruit. Okay, so it has kind of all of them to offset each other, and this one also has the cassava starch and the coconut flour, and I can taste the coconut flour, and I think that's why it's actually so fluffy too, because it's a combination of almond flour and coconut flour. So far out of those two, the Birch Benders is my favorite, which is weird because I know Birch Benders has come in last on other ones. Duncan Hines. That one is good. Except for, okay, the flavor is the best on the Duncan Hines. Taste the closest to a like yellow cake mix. It's very, very moist. Very moist. It is the moister of all of them. I hate that word, I know. It is though. It is very, it's just like it tastes the closest to a like classic boxed cake. It's very moist. The Birch Benders is a little bit of a drier texture, but I think that's because of the coconut flour again. But I like that texture the best out of them. But as far as flavor, the Duncan Hines definitely has the best flavor. As far as being moist. Gosh, I'm like really kind of torn between those two. They really have a different taste. You can kind of taste, if you're not a fan of things with coconut flour, I don't think you like the Birch Benders because I feel like you can really taste the coconut flour, but I don't mind that. I kind of think that the Birch Benders is the most well balanced, but it's $2 cheaper for the Duncan Hines. I think that one's fine. The homemade one, of course, I only picked one recipe off of all the internet too. But this one, the reason why I chose this one is one, I made things off of this website before. Two, the claims was it claimed that it tastes just like a yellow boxed cake. I kind of have to disagree with that. I think there's too much erythritol in it. I would say, I mean, I used Okay, I use the erythritol stevia blend of a pure. I think a different sweetener may make that cake okay and it would be fine. Let's taste it with some frosting. I think I'll probably only do the chocolate frosting because I already know that I'm not a fan of the white frosting as much. And I feel like chocolate frosting goes with the yellow cake, right? We're gonna see if this changes it at all. I don't think it really will. Let's just start with the Duncan Hines this time. That frosting tastes like something I can't put my finger on. It tastes like something. If you've tried these frostings, let me know what they taste like to you. I mean, this chocolate would taste good. That tastes really good with the frosting. Really good on the Duncan Hines. Tastes really good on the Birch Benders. It does make the homemade cake taste better, I think, because you're getting that balance with the frosting and the stuff, but I still think it has too much. I think that homemade one recipe could be played with maybe doing less sweetener. Maybe look at some other yellow cakes out there that are low carb, keto friendly. Maybe one mixed with coconut flour, kind of like the Birch Benders. I would say that's what I would do because I still feel like $6.98 is a huge price tag for that. I mean, as far as the homemade one, it's going to be really hard to come up with the price for that, but I can tell you that I used 2 cups of almond flour. The almond flour that I bought, granted it was on sale, but the normal price on it is $7.99 for a pound of it, which, you know, is way more than 2 cups. So, yeah, it was like a 16-ounce bag. So, anyway, yeah, I mean, this is still going to come up way less. I would say that the homemade one maybe cost, what, $2 or $3 to make at the most, at the very, very most. I would say maybe $2 to make. So I think you could play around with that recipe, but if you're in a pinch and you need to make something quickly, I think these other cake mixes would do. I'm actually very pleasantly surprised. I'll be curious to see what my family says because, you know, they're not used to probably that coconut flour as much as I am in things. So I'll be very, very curious. So stay tuned at the end of this video. I'll have a little tally on who liked what the best. So there's 4 of us in our family. So me, Birch Benders is number 1. Duncan Hines is number 2. Homemade's number 3. Again, that's kind of subjective. It's one recipe off the internet. And then I will give you the tally of the rest of them and we will have our final winner as far as my family's concerned. But just also keep in mind my family does not eat sugar-free, low-carb items. So this is coming from people who don't eat that. So maybe that's actually a good opinion. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day to watch my video. Stay tuned. Next week, I will have the battle of the brownie mixes with Duncan Hines going against Birch Benders once again. And I will also do a homemade brownie recipe, which I do have one that I like. So it's kind of a tried and true brownie recipe. So stay tuned for that video and let me know down below in the comment section. Do you like these kind of videos? Do you want me to continue doing them? Check out the description box. I will have the other battle videos that I did linked down there. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.